Good evening, and welcome to an evening to experience ShelterBox. I'm Matt Gerber, a volunteer and chair of ShelterBox USA's board of directors. In 2024, we saw a record number of individuals who've been forcibly displaced from their homes. By some accounts, this number is more than 120 million people, or about 1.5% of the world's entire population. The need for shelter has never been greater. Tonight, we invite you to join us as we visit some of these hardest hit places in the world, from Pakistan to Morocco, from Ukraine to Gaza, and even closer to home in North Carolina. We'll see the critical impact that ShelterBox is making. Thank you so much for joining us this evening, and thank you for your continued support. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce Carrie Murray, the president of ShelterBox USA.
Good evening. I'm Carrie Murray, and it is an absolute privilege to serve as president of ShelterBox USA. Welcome to an evening to experience ShelterBox, where we highlight 24 years of life-saving humanitarian work all across the world. Tonight, we are going to take you to the front lines of the world's worst disaster and conflict situations, and we're going to show you how your support is transforming lives all across the world. I want to thank some special guests tonight. We have people tuning in from all over the country, but in Renfrew, Pennsylvania, Melanie and Dave Sturrock have gathered together a watch party. So to everyone from Rotary Zone 33 and 34, thank you so much. We know that you've already raised $25,000 for this humanitarian mission. Thank you so much. Tonight, you will all have the opportunity to get involved. And if you're so inspired and you want to make a donation, please go to the lower corner of your screen where you can make a pledge and you can make a gift to support this life-saving work. So as a global humanitarian relief organization, ShelterBox is working to tackle one of the biggest issues that's facing our world today, and that's global displacement. The UN estimates that there are more people displaced in our world today than any time in recorded history, and that number is over 120 million people that don't have a place to call home, and they're forced to flee their home, often with little more than the clothes on their back. So as an organization, we focus on the basic needs that people have when they've been displaced. What are our basic needs? They revolve around food, water, and shelter. ShelterBox was founded 24 years ago on the simple premise of what are the things that you need to sustain your life if you're forced to flee your home or you've lost your home in a disaster or conflict situation. The center of gravity for what ShelterBox does is the provision of an emergency shelter. I'd love to step inside one of the ShelterBox's standard relief tents. And while I know this looks like a camping tent, it is not. It's not a recreation tent. This is a humanitarian relief tent and the place that a family will call home for months following a displacement. This has been designed for ShelterBox. It's taken many iterations over the years, but this can withstand heavy wind, rain situations. This is what's called a double wall tent. This is the place that a family will collect themselves. They'll eat meals here. They'll sleep inside the tent. You can actually create rooms in the tent, and we have areas for privacy screens. We also provide basic things like mattresses or sleeping mats inside this tent as well. But this tent has been really designed for people to live in over an extended period of time. There's the front patio, there's a back door, there's area for light and ventilation, and this is an absolute lifesaver for a family, and it's absolutely the first step in the recovery process for the family. So in addition to the shelter or the tented shelter that we provide, and there's a variety of different types of tents depending on the context that we're responding to, but in addition to that, the other things that you need to set up household that are so vital. One is light. So often in emergency situations, you've lost power. So ShelterBox provides waterproof solar lanterns. These are a lifeline for families. In addition, you've often had contamination of the water source. So we provide water filters and purification units, containers to store clean water. Aid organizations bring in food, they bring in water, but how are you going to boil water? How are you going to prepare a hot meal? Meals are incredible in restoring a sense of routine and normalcy for a family when they've been displaced. So a whole stainless steel cooking set and items to serve food as well. And then the other items that we're providing, oftentimes high thermal blankets, mosquito nets, tools. And what started as a singular box 24 years ago has really evolved. And while ShelterBox no longer provides those green boxes, we provide customized shelter packages and aid solutions that are customized to meet the unique needs of the displacement crisis. And they're always different. So this would be a typical shelter package that we're providing. Inside could have solar lanterns, it could have high thermal blankets, it could have the water filter, but there are a variety of different types of aid packages that we're providing. In addition to the tented shelter, one of the most versatile, I would say low cost, high impact aid solutions that ShelterBox is deploying are called our shelter kits. So for about $100, you can help repair a home that's been damaged or create a single room structure for a family from this kit. So this is a ShelterBox shelter kit. They're tarpaulins, they're tools, and they're basic fixins so you can have a place to call home. We do thousands of these every single year in places like the Philippines, which are endemic to typhoons. We're deployed right there now at this point for a typhoon that's taking place in that island nation. In addition to the tarps and the tools, ShelterBox also provides more transitional and semi-durable shelters in areas where there are more protracted, longer-term crisis situations where a family is likely to be displaced for months or even years. Things like mud brick, corrugated iron, iron nets in places like Yemen, but the basic building blocks to provide a more dignified shelter for protracted crisis situations. So how do we do this work at ShelterBox? Well, 24 years ago, our founders really wanted to harness volunteer power, and they created a program called the SRT, the ShelterBox Response Team. And we recruit volunteers from all walks of life, from all over the world. And they apply to become a response team member. 1 in 30 will pass the program and become a first responder and deploy to the front lines with ShelterBox. These are the force multiplier for ShelterBox in disaster situations, and I've had the privilege to deploy alongside so many response team members from across the world that really enable the life-saving work of ShelterBox. And as you can see from the photos, the ShelterBox response team members really get things to where they need to go any way they can. These response team members deploy at any wave of the deployment, and it could be from the initial assessment phase, where we're boots on the ground, really determining how many people have been affected, what are the specific shelter needs, also what are the vulnerabilities in that response. They help with logistics and supply chain of getting aid into the country. They help with beneficiary selection. They help with training communities on how to utilize the aid, and also the back-end monitoring and evaluation so we can map, track, and measure everything we do here at ShelterBox. So over the years, ShelterBox has deployed to over 300 disaster and crisis situations. We've worked in over 100 countries and provided support to over 3 million people, all because of you. I want to now talk about some of the notable deployments over the years at ShelterBox. Back in the Indian Ocean tsunami, that was a large-scale emergency. That's the largest aircraft in the world, and that really put ShelterBox on the map. In addition, we were among the largest providers of shelter aid to Haiti after the devastating 2010 earthquake. We worked in Hurricane Katrina, helping here in Louisiana. We also have worked in the Philippines after Typhoon Haiyan, the strongest storm recorded ever to make landfall on the island nation there. And in addition, the fastest growing piece of our work over the last decade has been our work in violent conflict situations. The crisis in Syria, over 12 years responding to help people displaced in Syria, where half the pre-war population have been displaced from their homes. Our work in the most challenging conflict situations and the world's biggest conflict zones has been the reason why ShelterBox has been twice nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. Tonight, we're going to talk to you about the most recent work, the work over the past year. And it spans everything from hurricanes here in the Caribbean, Hurricane Beryl, also hurricanes in the United States, to our work in Gaza, Ukraine, Morocco, Pakistan, and more. So tonight, I want to start with a deployment I just returned from, and that was in the island nation of Grenada. We were working on two of the islands, Carriacou as well as Petite Martinique, after a Category 5 hurricane, the strongest storm ever recorded to make landfall this early in the season. It actually formed in June, and it hit Grenada on July 1st. It devastated 98% of the structures on the islands I was working on. In addition, it displaced over 200,000 people. Many of these folks during the hurricane took shelter in overcrowded schools, but some families were forced to stay home. I want to introduce you to one of those families and an incredible person I was able to meet. Her name is Lucy. And I was able to see firsthand the impact of the support of ShelterBox and what all of you have enabled for her life.
Beryl was nice at all to us. As you could see, Beryl touched everybody.
Hello, I'm Carrie Murray, president of ShelterBox USA, here on the island of Carriacou in Grenada. Hurricane Beryl devastated this island in July of this year. Locals describe as the worst storm ever to make landfall on this island. It devastated 98% of the infrastructure here. Because of you, we've been able to help families like Lucy. I had the opportunity to meet Lucy today. Lucy didn't have the opportunity to go into a shelter because Lucy was caring for her disabled son.
I didn't want to go to the shelter with my son. I was not able to take it. So I must stay home to keep him calm, to keep him calm. We stay in the bathroom until everything over. When everything over, we come out, we see everything disappear around us. Yeah, so it was not easy. It was not easy. Got the tent, which I love so bad. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. I got this tent with everything inside the bag, with the mosquito net, the light, especially the light. The light is wonderful. To use the light in the night for my son. When he get up in the night, he see to go to the bathroom. We are alive. When there is life, there is hope. You will be back and you will be back stronger. We just need the help. It's my little house. My little house. I love it.
ShelterBox has helped over 3,000 people in Carriacou as well as Petite Martinique. We could not do this support without you. So thank you so much for enabling this life-saving work.
In the aftermath of Hurricane Beryl, two more hurricanes, Hurricanes Helene and Milton, caused catastrophic damage from Florida, Georgia, all the way up to the Carolinas. In this instance, it was one of the deadliest hurricanes in the last 50 years. And in North Carolina, residents say it was the worst hurricane ever. What we know there in Western North Carolina is that over 126,000 homes were damaged or destroyed. Over 6,000 miles of roads were damaged, and people are left on the very long road to recovery there. So ShelterBox began mobilizing with our Rotary partners. We were immediately in touch with Rotary Zone 33 and 34. Several of you are on the line tonight. Patrick Eakes, the RI Director for Zone 33-34, as well as ALPO, Alex Portelli, retired Army Colonel, who is the DGE for 7670, and is helping to lead the logistical response on the ground in North Carolina. ShelterBox began receiving needs assessments, and the needs assessments from the most affected counties said that people needed the basics, everything from solar lights and battery packs to camp stoves to 0-degree sleeping bags, blankets, and tents. So ShelterBox began mobilizing a response for North Carolina. We leveraged Rotary's vast network and also the volunteer power from zones 33-34, of which 100 people turned out to help us pack these what are called life limb shelter kits for the counties that are in the most affected areas. I want to take you now to the front lines of the disaster in North Carolina and the effect of Hurricane Helene. Hurricane Helene made landfall on the Florida Gulf Coast as a Category 4 storm late in the evening of September 26, 2024. Described as a once-in-a-thousand-year storm, Helene's path of destruction stretched over 500 miles from Florida to the southern Appalachians. In just 48 hours, vast swaths of the region became unrecognizable. Communities were cut off and stranded as floodwaters washed away hundreds of roads, buildings, homes, and vehicles. The communication infrastructure left in shreds. Millions of people lost power and access to water. The largest impacts were across western North Carolina, where unprecedented flooding occurred with hundreds of fatalities, billions in property damage, and 126,000 homes damaged or destroyed. Displaced families face urgent needs amid freezing temperatures, power outages, and widespread loss.
The devastation is absolutely unbelievable still today. It is unprecedented, and it put us in a dire situation because in particular, most of our access to our northern counties in western North Carolina were cut off. We had thousands, literally 1,000 roads and bridges that were destroyed or damaged. Some of those will be closed for more than a year. I'm talking to engineers, the amount of debris in Asheville, the Asheville Metroplex alone, to be removed is right now estimated about 70,000 full dump truck loads of debris just for Asheville. Day 42, we still have families that are basically wrapping themselves in blankets, hanging out around a fire pit to stay warm.
In the aftermath of Hurricane Helene, Rotary Zones 33 and 34 partnered with ShelterBox USA to mobilize a response in western North Carolina. We worked to get needs assessments from the emergency operations centers in the hardest hit counties. ShelterBox USA and Rotary are providing hundreds of emergency kits, which include 0-degree sleeping bags, comforters, solar lights and battery packs, water filters, camp stoves, and ShelterBox midi tents for families recovering from the devastation left by Hurricanes Helene and Milton.
When I think about the partnerships that we have in Rotary, ShelterBox is a crucial one because all Rotarians have that DNA that they want to make life better for people who are suffering. Rotary has a vision statement, and it begins with a very important word. It begins with together. That's what's happening here. People are uniting, and we create lasting change for people in our own communities, around the globe, and in ourselves.
In hurricane-ravaged areas of the United States, many families are still without the basic comforts we often take for granted: warmth, shelter, and clean water, while still struggling to recover what's left of their homes and lives. Your support makes this vital work possible. I want to shift gears now to one of the largest pieces of the work of ShelterBox over the last 2.5 years, and that's been responding to the war in Ukraine. In February 2022, Russia launched a full-on invasion in Ukraine, displacing a third of the population. ShelterBox has been responding and working to support the immediate needs of families that have been displaced. In the early days of the war, we saw the fastest moving displacement crisis since World War II. Millions of people, mostly women, children, and elderly, fleeing to the neighboring countries. But then you had millions of people inside Ukraine that were either sheltering in damaged homes or fleeing from the Russia-occupied areas of the east, moving into the west, really sheltering wherever they could. So ShelterBox has been working to meet the needs of refugees initially and moving now over the past year to really focusing people living in damaged homes with basic things like tarpaulins, tools, and fixins, as well as winter supplies like stoves, high thermal blankets, but that the basics that people need to survive the moment that they're in. I'd like to now share with you and take you to the front lines of ShelterBox's work in Ukraine.
Ми всі докупи зібралися, впали на підлогу. Мені здалося, що обрушиться зараз все моє життя. І вже почало згадувати все те, що було в цьому житті.
February 2022, the Russian invasion of Ukraine triggered the fastest growing displacement crisis since World War II. More than 14 million people were forced to flee their homes. The humanitarian needs were unprecedented, especially for women, children, and the elderly, who made up the majority of the displacement, often leaving them to flee with just the items they could carry.
Нас не кинули на призволяче, що ми люди обездолені, що побиті війною. Нас усі допомагали. Це за це, кажу, дуже низький їм всім уклін.
We've listened to what people needed as the conflict evolved, tailoring the aid to the specific and changing needs for both refugees and internally displaced people. From vital shelter items like tarpaulins and repair kits for damaged homes, to the provision of stoves, blankets, and winter clothing to help people stay warm through cold winters, we've worked to help people rebuild their lives as they begin the long road to recovery. We've expanded our response by partnering with local organizations in Ukraine, enabling us to reach more people across 10 oblasts. Together, our partners can now build on these shared foundations to continue to provide shelter and vital support to the changing needs in Ukraine. With your help, ShelterBox has mounted a massive response to the war in Ukraine, assisting more than 130,000 people displaced since the war began. As an apolitical, non-religious humanitarian relief organization, ShelterBox is working to provide emergency shelter and basic needs to meet the biggest crisis situations facing our world. In Gaza right now, this is perhaps the greatest need in our world today, and it's probably one of the most dangerous places in our world and one of the hardest places to provide humanitarian support. But ShelterBox has remained committed to responding to meet the immediate needs of Palestinians who've been displaced. Right now, over 90% of the population in Gaza has been displaced, and we know that nowhere within Gaza is safe right now. ShelterBox is working hand in hand with partners that includes MAP, Medical Aid for Palestinians, as well as PARC. And we're providing everything from ShelterBox relief tents, as well as tarpaulins, hygiene kits, emergency shelter mattresses, sleeping mats, and blankets. Thank you so much to all of you who've supported this life-saving work. I'd now like to take you to the front lines of the work that ShelterBox is doing in Gaza.
نزحت يمكن هذه المنطقة اللي أنا نازح فيها، يمكن منطقة يمكن رقم 15 أو 16. نزحت من غزة لنصرات لخانونس. مشكورين للإخوة اللي اليوم استلمنا الحمد لله هذه الخيمة اللي يعني تسترنا. كنا في معاناة، شدة الحر، الشمس القارص، القهر، بس حاليا الحمد لله جابوا لنا والله فرشات، جابوا لنا بطانيات، والحمد لله هي خيمة والله الحمد لله بتشتعل الصدر وحلوة وهاوية، وبارك الله فيهم ومشكورين جدا الإخوة.
So often, the work of ShelterBox never makes the headlines, and so often there are disasters that kill thousands and displace hundreds of thousands that barely make the news. One of those disasters occurred last year, and I had the opportunity to deploy at the end of last year to our work in Morocco, where we were building a massive shelter response to the devastating earthquake that hit high in the Atlas Mountains. Over 3,000 people were killed and hundreds of thousands of people displaced. Because of our relationship with Rotary, ShelterBox was able to help thousands of people who were displaced high in the Atlas Mountains. We worked village by village, providing relief tents, cook sets, solar lanterns, and high thermal blankets. These were a lifeline for the families that were displaced. But what we also saw in our deployment in Morocco, and we see this often, is oftentimes the people that we're working to support become humanitarian aid workers. I'm going to take you now to the front lines so you can meet Mohammed.
قريتنا يقبا رشيد عتقاقاتي كله تيمنا كله لا غنتزوجه داستيني غير صبر انت ترسغوا داستيني غير صبر سفاميتنا كلشي غنتزوج تحاسبيتنا 12 واحد كلشي تسلا غنتزوج صافي غالي غنيت. لا الصراحة المنظمة لا عمرها دار من العرض الأول غني تنغي ديك المال اللي كان وفانسرس كمل زين ما زادني بها زعما لا عمر زين. أشكر ربي دلاغي خلقن إنسان كل واحد ورات تغدنيش هذاك يا رب الخاتمة ديالها نكتب بزاف راه كلش اللي غدير شي مار غيدي دوال الحلال وخاوت السهل وانا يجي
This year, we are so excited because it is the first time we are giving the Global Humanitarian Service Award to one of our ambassadors. This person has been an ambassador for over 17 years. Ambassadors are on the front lines, raising awareness and funds for our work here in the United States. They go out to churches and schools and festivals and Rotary conferences. They often have the tent, and they're helping to raise visibility of our life-saving work. This year, we get to honor an ambassador and also a long-term Rotarian who has been a member of Rotary for over 20 years. They've also served on the board of directors at ShelterBox USA for 8 years, including as board chair, and currently a member of our finance committee. In addition to all of the countless hours as a volunteer and board activities, this person is fundraising like no other. They are the #1 ambassador fundraiser nationwide for ShelterBox, raising over $750,000 for the global work. One of the fun things that this person does is they happen to be from Louisiana, and while they live in California currently, they like to host a jambalaya, hence the award going to our very own ambassador, Jim Carrier. Jim, if you can come out, we'd love to present you with the 2024 Global Humanitarian Service Award. I can't think of anyone who deserves this as an ambassador more than you do.
Thank you so much. It's an honor.
So, Jim, yes. You started 17 years ago as an ambassador. Can you tell and share what compels you behind this mission and why you're still out there carrying the tent and putting it up?
Well, I appreciate it. It's probably one of the easiest questions you could have asked me. The thing that struck me initially with ShelterBox was the mission itself and the ability to help others. And it's driven my passion for the 17 years. I clearly didn't think I was going to be here for 17 years when I volunteered. But a lot has changed, right? I mean, the aid we deliver, how we deliver it, all that's changed. But one thing that hasn't changed is I can do just a little thing here, and it makes a transformational difference to a family that's less fortunate on the other side of the globe. And that is so powerful. That is why I do what I do and why I'm so proud to be part of this organization.
Well, Jim, you've been doing this work for so long, a lot longer than all of us, and you inspire us. So congratulations on the award. And I hope you have another 17 years or more as an ambassador.
We will see. We will see. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jim.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. So tonight, we're going to give everyone an opportunity to get involved. And I've been working with Carrie for many, many years here at ShelterBox, and she knows I am a big believer that everyone has something to contribute, whether it's your time, your talent, or your resources. Everyone can make a difference for an organization like ShelterBox. And all of the work that we do at ShelterBox is because of our supporters. You make this life-saving work possible. So now we're gonna give all of you an opportunity to dig deep and get involved. And there are so many ways that you can make a difference. So tonight, our goal is to raise $500,000, and I know many of you are online, you're pledging, which is great. And you're also checking out and making a donation via the PayBee app. That's terrific. But you can make a donation whether it's online at the ShelterBoxUSA.org website. We also can accept gifts of stock. You can give from your DAF. It's easy to give, and we hope that you give generously. So let's talk about what we can do. So for $100,000, we can provide 100 families with a full shelter package. That's everything from a tent shelter where they will live for a period of months. It's also the cook sets, the lights, the tool kits, the water filters, the mosquito nets, an entire package. For $75,000, we can provide 150 families with a standard relief tent, with a ShelterBox tent, the place that they will call home. For $50,000, we can provide 500 of these shelter kits, the kit that you see behind me. This can be used to repair a home that's been damaged, like we see we've done extensively in Ukraine, or create a single room structure, which we often are doing and currently deploying in the Philippines. For $25,000, we can do 600 households of blankets, of the mattresses, also thermal baby gear. So we do everything from baby onesies to hats, scarves, gloves, the basics for people, especially right now this time of year in the winter months. For $10,000, 150 families can have access to clean water. This is so important. We heard this from Alpo, even in North Carolina, in Asheville, they now have water. It's not potable. So something like this, a water filter, a purification unit, is a lifeline for a family to have clean water. Vital. For $5,000, I think this has always been one of my very favorite aid items. I see the impact it has in the field. You can provide 100 full stainless steel cooking sets. And when you see in communities, we saw this in Morocco, setting up community kitchens, but you see how just a hot meal can restore a sense of routine, a sense of normalcy for a family. This is just a game changer and so vital. $1,000, 25 solar lanterns, 25 households will have light. This is absolutely vital for families having access to light. So solar lanterns, you can also charge your phone with these lights as well. These are essential and vital. Even here in the US, I think many people have seen, even in places like North Carolina or down to Florida, Hurricanes Helene and Milton, light being just so important. $500, a single tent for a family, provide one family with a shelter. $100 is a singular shelter kit. This is, again, low cost, super high impact for a family. And then for $50, you can provide 5 mosquito nets. Also vital against vector-borne disease. So vital in the field for people just to have basic nets, especially in flood-based situations where you have a lot of standing water and you're worried about disease. Vital. So I want to take a moment and we want to start thanking people who've been giving, because there are so many of you and just incredible donations here tonight to support the work of ShelterBox. So thank you. So to the Sturox and the Shine and everyone at the watch party, you have raised over $25,000. That is amazing, incredible. Thank you so much. Pam Pine, thank you. Sherry Ball, Laura Helmer, long-term ambassador. Thank you so much. And Rotary Clubs, Dubois, Mercer, Butler, Erie, Saxonburg, Richmar, Heritage. You're all in that Pennsylvania area. Thank you so much. Troy Hoydell, Christine Gambrelli, Larry Harrison. We know that you're home watching. Larry, thank you. Peter Grief, Angelica Reinhart, thank you. Mark McCain, Bill Tobin, John Glanville, Andrew Morse, Sherry Gold, Dawn Ross, Brad Singer, thank you, honey. Harry and Heather and Steve Horan, thank you so much. Matt Gerber, Dale Bauer, Sharon Aluga, Peggy Corla. Thank you. Many of these folks on the ShelterBox USA board and providing the match. So, Carrie, we should talk about the match tonight.
It's a very exciting match gift that we had from a large group of our board members who are absolutely dedicated to this mission and a vital part of the reason that we're able to do the work that we do. So we are so grateful for our board for being the match gift tonight. And Carrie, do you want to share what that gift is?
Yes, our match gift tonight between our board and supporters coming in tonight is $100,000. And this is absolutely vital to being able to do the work of ShelterBox. So often people think about ShelterBox on the worst day ever, right? It's something truly catastrophic, breaks the headlines, the whole world cares for a few days, right? While it's in the headlines in that moment. But so much of the work of ShelterBox that we do, some of the most life-saving work that we do never makes the headlines. And it is the most life-saving. Places like Cameroon, where you've had hundreds of thousands of refugees fleeing in, largely from Nigeria. We've had a great project this year in Chad with Sudanese refugees, starting a project in Sudan, also Ethiopia, Mozambique. So many important places that we're working that aren't making the headlines. And for these families, ShelterBox may be and often is the only shelter actor that's coming to help you and provide shelter and the basic support to get you back on your feet again. So it's just so vital. I know we're going to keep fundraising and we're going to keep going, but there is another piece of work, and it's part of this quiet work that we do that I want to show another film on, and it's our work in Pakistan. We started responding there 2 years ago. A third of the country was underwater and displaced tens of millions of people. And this is an example of some of the more durable, what we call more semi-durable structures that we're supporting, very low cost, but I would say a much more dignified shelter for people who have longer, more protracted displacement. And in the case of Pakistan, it's still flooding 2 years later, still from the previous flooding, additional flooding, and it's so vital that ShelterBox is responding there. So I'm going to take you now to the front lines to meet Sheena and our work in Pakistan.
इसलिए रात को अचानक से पानी आया और फिर हमें अपना सर बचा कर निकले. सैलाब से पहले माशाल्लाह हमारी ज़िंदगी बहुत अच्छी थी, हमारे पास अपना घर था, माल था. जी नहीं, अचानक से आया था ना. बाद तो सुन रहे थे कि सैलाब आ रहा है, बट हमें इतनी ताकत नहीं थी कि हमारा माल, जानवर थे, जो भी थे, हमारे अनाज वगैरह सारे डूब गए. उसके बाद हम शुक्रगुजार है इस्लामिक रिलीफ पाकिस्तान और शेल्टर बॉक्स को, जिसने हमें घर दी अब हमें रहने के लिए. हमें इस्लामिक रिलीफ और शेल्टर बॉक्स की तरफ से हमें सीमेंट मिला था, डोर मिले थे, विंडोज़ मिले थे, और हमें सारा सामान मतलब मज़दूरी भी मिली थी, चेक मिले थे, उससे हमने मज़दूर किए और मज़दूरों से मिलकर हमने ये घर बनाया, छतें. और अब बारिश वगैरह होगी फिर भी हमें इतना डर नहीं लगता, क्योंकि हमारे पास पक्के घर है और हम सुकून से रहेंगे. और हमारी जो फ्यूचर है, हम चाहते हैं कि हम जैसे भी रहे खेरे, पर हम चाहते हैं कि हमारे जो बच्चे हैं ना, उनको अच्छा माहौल मिले, पढ़ाई वगैरह की सहूलत मिले. घर के हिसाब से मेरा कॉन्सेप्ट ये है कि घर का मतलब ये नहीं कि 4 दीवारें में हम जो रह रहे हैं उसको हम घर कहते हैं. घर का मतलब होता है सास ससुर, जो भी हमारे फैमिली मेम्बर्स है, हम एक दूसरे का साथ दे, दुख में सुख में, उस खुशहाल ज़िंदगी गुजारे, हम उसे घर कहते हैं.
I want to thank Louis Turpin. Thank you so much, Louis. William Peck, Holly Rickett on the board at ShelterBox USA. Aaron Spence. Aaron, thank you so much. Kathy Guy. Brenda Williams, thank you.
Thank you, Sherry Ball, 2,500. We so appreciate your support. Maria Santos, Lindsay Skeegan, a member of our team. Thank you, Lindsay. Sam Jabber, board member, $5,000 pledge. Thank you so much, Sammer. We so appreciate that. Christy Brown, Nancy and Jack Fadigan.
Long-term ambassadors, thank
Amazing.
you. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Jack.
Kathy Stack, Johnny Mack, $10,000. We're so grateful. Thank you so much for that gift.
Kathy Guy, thank you so much, Kathy, $5,500, and it's just continuing to roll in. This work is so vital, and this is the one time of the year we do this annual benefit. We started it in COVID, right, when the shutdown, and we found that this is such an important night to really report back to you and brief you on the latest work of the organization, but also really mobilize additional support to help really fuel this work, which right now is so needed all across the world. Every year we're responding to more disaster, more conflict situations, and of course now we're seeing more and more the impacts of climate. And we're stepping in and we're providing a lifeline to families who've lost everything.
Wow.
More. So Don Hamilton, thank you so much, Don,
What
back
an
there.
incredibly generous
Yes,
gift,
in
Don.
Michigan. Thank you, Don. Mimi Flynn, hi Mimi. Thank you so much. Holly Faust, Sarah, Susan Friedman. Thank you so much. Massive. This is going to have a massive impact on our ability to do the work. And Carrie, as you know, we have a campaign every year. It's called Stock the Box. And this is essentially what we're doing tonight. We're helping ShelterBox be ready. We're ensuring that we can pre-position aid all across the world, right? So that we can be ready. Right now, there is a devastating typhoon in the Philippines. A lot of people on the line probably haven't even heard about it, right? But it's displaced hundreds of thousands. Why is ShelterBox ready? Because we have a warehouse in Cebu, Philippines. We have pre-positioned aid, 8,000 of these shelter kits ready to go so that we can hit go and we can work harder to work more efficiently and effectively to save lives when we're needed most. And so this is vital for us. We've drawn down on so much of the inventory this year. We know that, right? From our lights and our tarps and our cook sets and our blankets. And we're doing so much more around the world. So we need you more than ever before. So this is going to have a transformational impact on our ability to hit the ground running and respond.
Wow, and we have just surpassed over 200,000.
So amazing!
That is going to have such a massive impact on our work and our ability to pre-position aid around the globe. So thank you so much.
Patrick Eakes, RI Director, Zone 3334, thank you. You've done so much to enable. You were a lifeline for our work in North Carolina, and you've spearheaded the Zone 3334 Disaster Recovery Fund for Hurricane Helene and Milton. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute privilege to work with all of you in Zone 3334 on this response, and thank you for your generosity tonight. It means so, so much. So we want to continue to inspire you. We hope that you will continue to keep giving. We are going to be signing off, and we want to say a big thank you to everyone who showed up tonight for ShelterBox and is participating tonight. Your donations are going to be matched, right? Which is incredible, and it's such a gift. So thank you to our board. Thank you to the entire team here and everyone behind the scenes who make this possible each and every year. And Carrie, you lead this event. So thank you so, so much.
Absolutely.
But please, thank you. We hope that you will continue to also share the work of ShelterBox. And we talk about everyone has something to contribute and get involved. And Carrie has really been the genesis of some of our volunteer programs, including the adventure program. So could you share another way to combine your passion for the outdoors and a drive to make a difference?
Yes. So a few years ago, I was privileged to be able to join a group of wonderful volunteers for ShelterBox who were inspired to give back and also get outdoors to be able to raise funds and awareness for the work of ShelterBox. And together, a group of 12 of us trekked Yosemite, and it was the most incredible time. And so we decided it was so successful, and we were able to create such a little family while raising funds and awareness for ShelterBox that we're doing it again. So this year, we're going to be trekking, next year, we're going to be trekking the Dolomites, but you're able to sign up this year. It's live on our website, and we would love to have you if you are interested in participating as a fundraiser and a trekker and trekking through the gorgeous Dolomites next summer. We would love to have you. Please visit our website, shelterboxusa.org, to get involved and to learn more information.
Awesome. Thank you, Carrie. Bill Decker, thank you so much. $4,000 donation, incredible. Troy Fedderson, thank you. Simon Murdoch, thank you, thank you, thank you. Just incredible. Now I know, and I'm going to call her out here, and she's going to get mad at me, but I'm doing it anyway. So Libby Faust, come on out here. So Libby leads our ambassador program, and she is behind the scenes inspiring our volunteers, our ambassadors, day in and day out. Ambassadors like Jim Carrier, who've had a transformational impact on our work because of their service. So Libby, is always recruiting, right? Yes. So we need ambassadors. We want to cover the United States and our volunteers, and you serve as the voice of ShelterBox for our work all across the world within your networks and in your communities. And we are working to build our ambassador program. I know we have a few folks on the line tonight. So Mindy, thank you, Mindy Budgore. Thank you so much, Tammy Lee, brand new ambassadors who joined us in September at SAFE, which is the ShelterBox Ambassador Field Experience. And we drop you in a mock SAFE disaster zone over the course of the weekend. And we teach you the anatomy of a response and what it's like to work with ShelterBox on the front lines. And these folks go home transformed, but they also go home ready to hit the ground running, raising awareness for the organization. So if you have a desire to serve and you want to combine your passion to give back and your passion for ShelterBox, the ambassador program is an awesome way to do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So everyone can go on the website at shelterboxusa.org and learn about becoming a ShelterBox USA ambassador. Thank you, Libby.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we're at time, Carrie, and I think we have already surpassed $210,000 plus the match, well on our way to the goal of $500,000. Thank you, Steve Saverin, long-term ambassador in New England. Thank you so much for your donation.
Amy Flynn.
Yes, thank you.
Wow, monthly gift as well. Incredible.
So that's another great way to give, right, Carrie? So
absolutely.
the recurring donation, which is a monthly gift, and it's the ability to provide a piece of aid every single month to a family
It's that
need.
sustained giving over a long period of time that enables us to help plan our responses over time. And a gift of $25 each month can change a life over the course of a year. So thank you so much, Mimi.
Thank you. So to everyone online tonight, Kelly, thank you so much. Gudiso, thank you so much for that donation. I know many of you are still pledging. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is going to live on. After today, we'll have a recorded version of this event so we can share it. We hope that you will continue to share the work of ShelterBox socially and continue to share this life-saving work and become involved.
Yeah.
So to everyone who joined tonight, a massive thank you and debt of gratitude on behalf of everyone at ShelterBox. So often when we're in the field, it's families like Lucy, who I got to meet in Karakou, who say thank you to us, who are so grateful that we've helped them get back going again and just putting a roof over their head. But that's a heavy weight and responsibility, that thanks and that debt of gratitude, because it's really all of our supporters that make the life-saving work possible. You make that possible for families like Lucy's. And so we are so grateful that you're helping change lives every day. Another shout out as we move into 2025, what will be ShelterBox's 25th anniversary. So super exciting time. and so much in store for the 25th anniversary. And a lot of it is rooted in having greater humanitarian scale and impact around the world, continuing to do more and do it better and do it together. Much like our Rotary International president said, Stephanie, thank you so much, but doing it together with partners, and they make this work possible.
Absolutely. And one way we're celebrating the 25th anniversary next year is our ShelterBox conference. So if you are an ambassador or a board member, or you are planning to become an ambassador or a board member or a volunteer for ShelterBox USA, we would love to have you join us. It's next April. I'm just putting that plug out there because the more the merrier. We would love to have you join us if you're interested in getting more involved in this work.
Paul Rothman, $10,000. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We are going to sign off now, and I want to say a big thank you for our 2024 Evening to Experience ShelterBox. This is going to help transform our ability to do more work. We are so grateful to all of you. So thank you so, so much on behalf of everyone at ShelterBox. Foundation for Life is having a shelter. It's the first step in the recovery process, and we are so grateful that you're enabling ShelterBox to continue to do this life-saving humanitarian mission. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And good night.